The DFP is important to the accounting and financial planning industry because it sets a benchmark of what the regulator expects when providing financial services advice, and it just ensures that both accountants and financial advisors understand what they need to provide to the consumer in terms of this type of advice. It gives you an accreditation of the Diploma of Financial Planning, obviously, but that also meets ASIC's RG 146, which is really their training and assessment policy to be able to be licensed to provide advice in financial services. The trends that are emerging in the accounting and financial services industry it really depends on who you talk to. Some would say that the lines are becoming quite blurred, whilst others are sort of saying that there's clear lines of demarcation. Either way, the DFP will sort of ensure that this misunderstanding or misconception in both industries or both sectors are cleared up. The entry requirements for DFP are Australian residents, although some visa holders can apply as well. But the main ones are that you do have some industry experience, just so that you've got those basic financial terms. And if you don't have that industry experience, that's fine, but we do highly recommend you seek a mentor out who is in the industry just to help with those basic financial terms. But otherwise, most importantly, is an understanding of your basic English and literacy and numeracy, and really the ability to use your IT, so researching things online and using your software, Excel spreadsheets for calculations and projections and that kind of thing. RG 146 compliance in simple terms means that basically the regulator has set the standards, the minimum training and assessment standards. Once you are RG 146 compliant, it then means that you are able to apply for a licence. If you aren't RG 146 compliant, it means that you won't be able to meet the new requirements as of 1st of July 2016, so you won't be able to get that licence. That will have that flow-on effect that you'll have to restrict your services to tax advice, and you won't be able to offer that full range of services that are now coming with the new licensing regime. The DFP takes 2 years. You can do it in a quicker time frame than that, but from your initial enrolment you do have 2 years to complete all 4 modules. Once you enrol into each individual module, you've got a 12-week study time to complete the study as well as the assessments. So it's important, before you do take on that study, that you consider what contingency planning you'd have to have in your business, any special events, because special consideration to extend that 12-week period really, is only applicable for medical emergencies and that kind of thing. The benefits of distance education are that you're able to study sort of out of those normal working hours, weekends and lunch breaks and things like that. So you get to do it at your own pace. You won't feel on your own studying remotely or via distance education. DeakinPrime provides an online portal where you've got access to lots of resources, tools. You can also send emails if you've got any questions. You can send that through the online portal as well as directly to the IPA help desk. And then also there is guidance throughout the assessment process, in particular the skills assessment, where you have one-on-one time with an industry experienced expert who helps you through that skills sort of practice and assessment. The qualification that you come away with is the Diploma in Financial Planning, and that's a nationally recognised accreditation, and it meets the RG 146 compliance requirements. The DFP qualification is a nationally recognised qualification under the Australian Training Framework. In terms of global recognition, well, the thing is that the DFP is written in the Australian context of the financial services industry, so all the legislative and compliance rules and regulations. If you were to go to another country, they would obviously have their own compliance and legislative boundaries around their own financial markets. So more than likely you would need to do further training, on a global scale if you were to move to another country, let's say, and want to practice financial services or financial advice in another country. The DFP is one of those first steps that you need to take in terms of applying for that licence that you will need by 1st of July 2016. And then after that, the DFP will give you that technical knowledge and understanding of all those different areas of advice that you could now practice in. And this means for your clients, a more holistic approach to the types of advice that you can provide to them. The assessment for the DFP is that there's 3 parts, and these 3 parts apply to each of the modules. Now you can do them in any order. With the first module, we do sort of suggest that you do the skills assessment first, just so people get an idea of what that's really about, because there tends to be a bit of angst about that. But look, I'll go through it, all 3 parts. So the first part is an online assessment, multiple choice question. The second part is an assignment based. It's just based on various case studies, and there is a statement of advice template in there which the students would just fill in. And the last part would be the skills assessment, which is one-on-one time, about an hour to an hour and a half with an industry expert. There is a bit of a role play. I know people don't like that, but it's really all about just making sure you're getting that practice. So while the online assessment, multiple choice, and the assignment is really more about your knowledge and your understanding and testing that you know the documents and the new compliance requirements with the new licensing regime, the skills assessment really gives you that opportunity to discuss and coach and mentor with that industry expert one-on-one time. The support you get from tutors and course leaders is really through that online portal. There's a plethora of lots of resources and facts and figures and study tips and guides and things like that. Obviously you can always email in a question as well if there's a technical issue or something that is quite challenging, and that could be passed on to an industry expert as well, so that we can sort of resolve the issue. You can connect with other students via the LinkedIn subgroup that the IPA has set up, and we really encourage students present and past to link in with each other and share ideas and comments on assignments, the experience that you've had in the skills assessment, and share those ideas. You will be provided with reminders from DeakinPrime on when things are due. So around that time, it's a good idea to link in and see what are some of the worries and concerns that other people are having, and work on things together. The sort of students studying the DFP are your accountants and tax agents at the moment, and they're prepping themselves to meet the new requirements of 1st July 2016. But they're also looking to expand their services and be able to provide different types of advice to their clients, meeting their clients' full needs, and perhaps even attaining new clients who are after those sorts of advice. I can appreciate most of your members, or all of your members, would have training or education from the higher education sector, and a lot of them would be asking, why do we need to do the DFP? The DFP really comes as a basis of RG 146 training requirements, so we could basically say, well, it's the regulators' requirements, but really at the end of the day, it's really a more practical experience in the financial services industry. That where you've come from higher education, that's more your academic sort of level of study. So with the vet sector, or the vocational education sector, we do try and give it a more practical experience rather than just the theory. If you haven't studied in a while and you do want some study tips and tricks, I would recommend the online portal. There's some good ideas in there, but really it's just about that 12-week time frame and making sure that before you actually enrol, that you do look at what's happening in your life, major events, end of financial year, and a lot of us think that will take time off the main holiday period to study, but really assess whether you want to be studying during those times of the year. I hope you enjoy studying the DFP with the IPA and DeakinPrime. We're sure that you'll gain a lot of practical experience and knowledge. And for more information, click on the link below.